Bitcoin could be banned along with a lot of other crypto in a lot of different countries. Now, prices of Bitcoin are going up and down like crazy. I've been mining Bitcoin since 2013, so I've been in it through the highs and the lows. But what I want to go into today is some countries will be banning Bitcoin, crypto, Ethereum, a whole bunch of them. In addition, some countries will be adopting them a lot. Now, let's get into this because I've done some research for you today, and I think that we're going to be in for some really interesting conversations. So, some countries love it, some countries don't. And this is where I think that we're heading in the near future. If you looked at this little country of Liechtenstein, okay, this is becoming a center of innovation. They want to have all cryptocurrency payments to be instantly converted into Swiss francs to avert exchange rate issues. But they want you to pay for all government services in Bitcoin. They're asking you to do that. Now, you guys are not going to even know where Liechtenstein is, right? You're going to say, I've never even heard of this place before. So it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little country. There's hardly anyone that lives there. It's right in the center of Europe, right by Austria and Switzerland. Tiny, tiny, tiny country. Okay. So this country absolutely is going to love Bitcoin. It says, let's use this moving forward. We also know some places like El Salvador. El Salvador last year, a lot of trouble, very young leader saying Bitcoin is going to be the way of the future. Now wants volcano bonds. They're going to mine Bitcoin with the volcano. But notice here that the world's first crypto nation, they put a big bet on it, and it says it's stabilizing its economy and paying back its debt. So you can go in and read about this, but we're not going to jump too far into this, okay? The point is that some countries are embracing Bitcoin, and by that, I'm going to go outward and say other cryptos, but generally Bitcoin. And there's some people going to be accepting Ethereum. But what type of countries, and how do you know if your country that you're in is going to ban it or not? So you guys know that I'm in Canada myself. So if we go to Bank of Canada, okay, right away, a Bank of Canada website, it is the last article that came out a couple days ago, May 8th. Now, it says there that the Bank of Canada is launching an online public consultation for the future digital dollar. So all these people that when I talk about this go, David, conspiracy theorists, this isn't going to happen. Guys, it's happening in front of our eyes. Just go on Bank of Canada website. This isn't some wonky website I'm telling you about. So go there and notice, I find it funny that the consultation only will be running until June 19th. So they only want to run a consultation for a couple weeks. Okay, guys, this could be one of the most pivotal things that ever happens in the history of our country, yet they want to like secretly announce it on their website. Not very many people know about this. In addition to that, they're only going to let people put in comments for a couple weeks, which is very, very weird to me. All right. Now, the digital dollar, it says, will be designed to serve Canadians' needs. And then it says it wants, what features do Canadians want? It says how people would like to use it. Well, I wouldn't like to use it. What security features are important? The digital world is very, very secure. So that's the reason that we're using it, because we don't want anyone snooping on it, you know? What concerns do you have about the accessibility and privacy? Probably everything. Why should we be announcing every time we buy a stick of Hubba Bubba to the government? I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Stick of Hubba Bubba. Okay, so it says here that cash is safe, accessible, and a trusted method of payment. A little bit of gaslighting there because we know that they're diluting the value of that dollar like crazy as they keep on printing more money. But notice here it says that anyone can use it even if they don't have a bank account. Well, we don't have to pay for a bank account for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is accounts are free. So here is the sentence that starts getting a little bit weird. However, there may come a time when banknotes are not widely used in day to day, and it could risk at excluding Canadians from taking part in the economy. So, if you were a poor homeless person and you actually had a couple dollars given to you, you could take those dollars and go buy a banana with it, right? But if you were only to have digital currency, you got to walk around with an iPhone or some kind of iPad or whatever, laptop with the digital currency on it. So my question is like, I think cash is a lot easier for those people who are underserved and can't afford it, to be honest. I don't know. What are we going to do? Just run around handing iPhones to everybody? I don't really know how that makes any sense. It says it's also possible that private cryptocurrencies or central bank digital currencies issued by other countries could become widely used in Canada in the future. So what do you think they mean by private cryptocurrencies? That's my question to you. What do you think private cryptocurrency is? That's Bitcoin. That's Ethereum. That's all these other types of crypto coins, which I don't recommend, but I'm saying those big ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's a private cryptocurrency. That's what they're talking about. And if other countries have central bank digital currencies, and so please don't get yourselves mixed up on what this actually means. It does not mean that you're going to go to bed one night and you're going to have dollars in your Bank of America or Bank of Montreal in Canada. It doesn't mean you're going to wake up in the morning and they're going to go say, we're going to shut down that account and now you got to go get new dollars. You're not going to notice anything. You're going to go to bed one night and your Bank of Montreal, Bank of America is going to be that much in the account. You're going to wake up the next morning, that much is in your account. 90% of people are not even going to know the difference. They're just going to walk around their lives like everything is the same because they're like, it was digital before. What is digital now? And this is where we get into the ethics of it, is because remember, Bitcoin and Ethereum are a distributed ledger. Everybody can independently track the location and who owned what and who paid for what for every single Satoshi, which is a portion of a Bitcoin. So that is the exact same as you having cents to a dollar. So every single cent, imagine it had a serial number written on it. And it says it went from me to the gas station, from the gas station to buy a bag of chips, the bag of chips to the bank had to lend it out to someone on a mortgage, and it tracks every single thing of it. So it is not the fact that this exists. We have to remember there are pros and cons to it all. And so there's big, loud guys on blowhorns telling you what to feel about it. But I want you to think about it. I'm going to present the facts to you, and I want you to come to a reasonable conclusion of this. On one side, there is huge amounts of fraud, that people are working maybe cash and not paying taxes. Fraud when it comes to welfare payments and Medicare and all this stuff. So when you have a digital ID and digital currency, we could theoretically get rid of a lot of the fraud. But where it gets a little bit dodgy is it's programmable money on this distributed ledger. So if you go look at what the World Economic Forum wants, of which Canada is fulfilling all of those criteria, like the 15-minute cities, you're not allowed to drive outside of this area or your money doesn't work. You're only allowed to buy so much gas a week. Or right now they're talking about you're only allowed to eat so much meat a week. Like it kind of starts, you're controlling everything that you purchase. And it's those measures that are the kind of the dodgy bits. If I would like to drive to see my mother, I should be allowed to. Or if I wanted to buy something to eat, I should be allowed to. I shouldn't have those constraints on me. But listen, this isn't against one government in one country. This is happening all around the world, which I'm going to show you in a second. But it's the abuse of that power. Remember, fire can keep you warm or it could burn you. So CBDC could do something good for us, keep us warm, but it could also have a lot of bad stuff. But it's not against one government. The next government that comes in whatever country you're in, if you're in Europe or if you're in Italy, I don't know where, whatever country that's going to put it in, the next government's going to come in, they're going to have a new agenda and going to have a new list of things that you can and cannot buy. It's the abuse of the power, and you're handing the power. That's the kind of the dodgy bit behind it all. All right. So how prevalent is this? So we want, the Bank of Canada is doing this, whether you like it or not. And their fear is private cryptocurrencies. Do you think, number one, that a country that gets all of its income from taxes on the people from doing exchanges of goods and services, do you think that they will possibly let another country's currency or have Bitcoin transact without paying taxes? Do you think that a country will let me, one person, David, buy everything that I buy every day and get paid only in Bitcoins? I'm going to get paid tax-free, buy tax-free. Do you think they can let millions of people do that? And the answer is absolutely not. But this is where I want to start to expand your mind a little bit. So this is Canada. And if we look around the world, there is a go to CBDC tracker. Look at all the countries that are now either in pilot, proof of concept, research. They're now doing this. Look at Canada now is in a pilot phase. The US is actually in the pilot phase. Fed now already started. This map is delayed. Look at how many countries are now looking to implement a CBDC. If you go look at Atlantic Council and check these guys out, they will tell you how many people have been doing this. So let's just go back a bit over a year. You could see that just over a year ago, there was 40%, of people, 45% of people looking into it. Look at where we are now. The amount of people who have moved ahead with it in the country, in the world. It is amazing how fast this is moving, you guys. So if we want to look at this, this is what is going to happen in my view. We are 100% in any country that taxes you when you buy and sell something. All of those countries are going to ban all this stuff. I cannot see a world where they can coexist. But there's a lot of countries that are taking this on. This is what most Americans and most Canadians do not understand. There is a whole heap of countries that are out there, a whole bunch of them, that do not tax you on your salary. Can you believe that? When you get paid $2,000, you get to keep the full $2,000. Unbelievable, right? When you buy things at the store, there's no taxes added on. There's countries like that. Now, there's other countries that have to make their money in a different way. Maybe they're only going to charge you property taxes, and they might be high, but no taxes anywhere else. But the point is it's not just off your paycheck and then they charge you tax again. So let's take a look at one example. Now, Cayman Islands is an example where they have no income tax, no capital gains tax, no property tax, no payroll tax, no withholding tax. Unbelievable. So you have to ask yourself, number one, how is it possible that Cayman Islands has none of these taxes? Zero. How does that happen? Well, I can tell you because I've been there many, many times. When you go buy something in the store for $10, they add 25% tax. It's a usage tax. So whether you're buying it in Bitcoin or whether you're buying it in their dollar or a US dollar or whatever, they still charge 25% on top of everything. And that is your tax. Now they cover everything else with that tax, and they have foreign work permits that they get their money from. And that's how they run their whole country. So remember, they're not taxing every single transaction and every single income. They're not doing that. So these are different ways, but you're going to say, David, well, that is a very unique country. Well, is it? So just go to Google and type in tax haven countries, and you're going to start to see a list of them. Luxembourg, Switzerland, we've heard of these. Cayman Islands, right? Panama is very, very famous for that. Isle of Man, for all the British guys, they know that that's where they put a lot of the countries, and so is Gibraltar. So is Monaco. A lot of islands in the Caribbean. That are all doing this. But you have to understand the reason that they're doing this. They are small countries. If those small countries don't do something, everyone will leave and go to bigger countries. They have to provide a very tax-friendly place for this to happen. So the only way that I can see this working is all of those tax-friendly countries will gladly, with open arms, accept Bitcoin. Places like El Salvador, places like Cayman Islands, places like Liechtenstein, like we covered in the beginning. But all the countries that take the tax off of your paycheck the moment you get it and track everything, like Canada, like the United States, how could they possibly be willing to let all their citizens transact without paying tax? It would be the demise of the country, demise of the government. I cannot see how that's going to happen. Now, as we move forward, we know that the United States is blaming crypto right now because the Silicon Valley Bank that went down and all the other banks that went down. They're blaming the banking collapses now on crypto. It's very, very convenient to have this fall guy right now, isn't it? But if we continue on, I always find it very interesting in the United States. Article 1 of the Constitution says that no state shall enter a treaty, alliance, or confederation. Okay, but notice, continue on, that no one, coin money, that the bills of credit make anything but gold and silver coin a tender and payments and debts. Anything but gold and silver. So it's very funny to me that the United States, who loves their constitution and their rights, right? It's famous for them to have their rights for guns, for example, or have their rights. That's something tangible that they could touch. But when it comes to the Constitution talking about their money, it's a very hard concept. You got to put a lot of energy into understanding what is the difference between money and currency. And that, we had actual money, gold-backed, silver-backed money right until 1971. Although back in those days, it actually was collapsing. So if you take a look at a dollar today in the US, Federal Reserve note, see that up top? Note. It's a note. It's an IOU. It's not worth anything. It's a garbage piece of paper. Same as a piece of paper in a notepad. It's just a paper with some ink on it. But notice a bill back in 1928. It says there, silver certificate at the top. There's a star on it. Notice what it says here. $1 silver payable to the bearer on demand, meaning that the moment that I walk into the bank prior to 1971, I could hand this bill to them, and they had to, by law, hand me a silver dollar for this silver certificate. Now it's based on faith. And so the Constitution, the founding fathers of the United States, the same founding fathers in Canada, they said that money should be gold and silver. But somehow we let our Constitution in both of our countries get hijacked, where money and currency is different. I grew up my whole life thinking that this was money. It's different. It's currency now. It's not backed by anything. It's actually called fiat currency, F-I-A-T. Fiat meaning faith-based. It's all based on fugazi, nothing, faith. So this is the difference, you guys, when I'm coming down to this, is I cannot see a world where the countries with their tax base that tax their citizens on their salaries handle this. But I think that there's going to be a whole whack of countries that are going to be loving this, taking it with open arms. And I think it's all going to start with these smaller countries that are tax havens now that will love to have it there. We know that Liechtenstein already, this is the one that we were talking about before. Now we saw El Salvador say that they're going to be taking it now. This has been a while as their currency. So look at this list. Do you have a passport to any of these countries? Because I do. And I plan to be taking advantage of that in the future. I think this is a very, very good thought exercise for all of us in understanding the difference between currency and fiat currency and money. What is the difference between the two? Because I know that it's based on faith, but we know that 100 years ago, my grandfather worked for $1 a day. My grandfather worked $5 a day. When I started working when I was young, it was 15 or 20 or something $40 a day. And now what is it? You have to get hundreds of dollars a day. So what happened is they printed a lot of these dollars now. That's why they become worth less and less. So we don't have faith in the money anymore because inflation is here. Inflation should show you that we don't have faith in the money because they keep printing it away. So I think this is a really good thought exercise for you. Do you think that your country that you're in is actually going to be allowing Bitcoin and Ethereum, all the transactions to happen tax-free? I would love to know if you think so in the comments below. If you are living in a country that is already using Bitcoin a lot, please let me know. So the countries that are doing it right now, we know that the countries who are experiencing hyperinflation in Venezuela, Lebanon, down in Argentina, are using Bitcoin like crazy on top of the US dollar as well. But as they're using it now, those countries are trying to clamp down on those people because they need their taxes to be paid. And I think this is going to continue. Excuse me. I think this is going to continue over and over and over again, as the tax is the issue. The countries need money. The countries are bankrupt. Canada, $1.2 trillion in debt right now. The United States, 32 trillion, but that is nothing compared to the unfunded liabilities that are out there. So you guys, I want you just to think about this. When we think of the United States, let's just pull them up as an example. If you take a look at their website, let's share the screen with you and take a look at the US debt clock. Everyone talks about the 32 trillion. Who cares about the 32 trillion? I don't care about it. If you move down that list, okay, and look at the big kahuna in the room, look at what the US unfunded liabilities for Medicare, healthcare, for the veterans, this is the amount of money that they have to come up with, $187 trillion. That is insanity. And so that is the amount of money that has to be printed. Think of the inflation that's going to come. So my advice to you, just try to do some education. Just give yourself 15, 20 minutes to do some research on this, number one. Number two, just try to have a little bit of gold and silver in your possession. Buy it. You can pay for companies to lock it up inside of vaults in other countries if you want. Just make sure you have some outside of the system. Never keep it in your home, by the way. This is a fake gold bar. But have some gold and silver for yourself, number one. Number two, try to have some Bitcoin and some Ethereum for yourself. Not a lot, just a very small amount, but have it off the chain. And don't keep it on your phone. Put it on one of those crypto ledgers. I think that is very, very, very important for you to do that. If crypto does move underground and create a black market, there's not going to be any adoption for it. So the price of Bitcoin would fall through the floor if it didn't have mass adoption. So, what is happening now with all the governments that is talking about this stuff, they are going to put a lot of pressure on them because they need their tax money. So I'm interested. Please let me know what you guys are thinking. Anyway, thanks for liking this. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. I love you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great night.